Call this meeting, Policy Advisory Committee of the Prudential Committee to order, 6 o'clock. And I'll have a roll call for, let's see, Adam,
Adam Zace here.
Mike,
Mike Curtis here.
Cindy,
Here.
and Seth Burdick here. So we don't have a ton on this agenda. I thought it'd be nice to see you all, so here we are.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Just trying to pull up everything that you've sent around.
Yeah, I sent a couple of little, just one thing mainly that I sent today.
Yeah.
There we go. So did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes.
Did, yep, they look fine.
They look good.
Yeah, I have no changes.
We vote to approve the minutes then.
Someone
so-
has to, yeah, oh, hold on, okay.
Who wants to move?
Move to accept the minutes of the previous
second.
meeting of the
Second.
Policy Advisory Committee.
Mike second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
I
All right, approve those minutes. Any public comment?
Yes.
Carol, our one member of the public.
I don't know if this is the right committee, but I just thought I'd start with you guys. I have a, I don't know, request, idea that would it be possible to institute term limits for various committees, like they do have term limits for the town councilors? That's the first question. And two, would it be possible to have it be part of our policy or policy advisory to institute a rotation of the chairs similar to what the water commissioners do? And I think their system works very effectively in that each commissioner takes a turn when it's like their middle year, not their first year, but their second year. And so it keeps everybody informed and everybody involved at a certain level. So I just, because I go to all the meetings, as you guys know, for the Civic Association, I attend a lot of meetings. I'm just, I don't know if policy advisory is the right place, Seth, or if it should be bylaws, or if it should be at a prudential committee meeting, but I thought I'd just start here because I could.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think maybe, I'm not really sure. I suppose we could have a non-binding policy to that effect for those things, but it seems like a bylaws thing, at least the term limit
Okay.
idea. I don't know. What do you guys think, Adam or Mike or Cindy? You're a bylaws expert.
Oh, I think it needs to be a bylaw, Carol, and the bylaws will be having a meeting sometime in April. And I think that'd be a great thing to bring up during public comment if they allow public comment.
Okay. All right. I will.
I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
It
And
I
would-
would
we're
agree with
switching up the
Cindy,
chairs.
you know.
Yeah, I agree too. I think it's it feels like a bylaw or sound, and I do. It sounds to me. I take the point that the public commenter raised, that it potentially could, bring more people into the engagement with the village and the fire district.
Yes, I agree.
And we could always have, we could come up with some kind of policy if we wanted to. It was short of changing the bylaws. It might actually be probably easier to change the bylaws in a way, depending on who brought the change to the meeting, right? The district meeting, because any of the three commissions could bring
Right.
a change to the bylaws.
Carol, we could also bring your suggestion to the bylaws, and if they don't take it on, we could do it as a citizen's request.
Yeah,
I
because
just
we could have a petition,
I
right?
just think the continuity, what I've seen with, watching each of the water commissioners take their turn, they become more knowledgeable and more engaged. And that way you don't have towers of knowledge that when that person no longer runs for reelection is gone. And it just really feels like a nice continuity. You kind of do it in business. I think we could do it here. And you see the rotation at the town council, they do that as well. So anyways, enough on it. I don't mean to, if it's not the right committee, I'm sorry, but I appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, I think it,
Oops.
oh, go on, sorry, you first.
Carol, I think they're awesome ideas. They're things I would like to see. The rotation of chairs used to be something that just happened. And in the 15 years, I don't know why it dropped off the face of the earth and get to it. But I think we should bring up rotation of chairs maybe next year for one of our things to look at, Seth. So.
Yeah, that
yeah,
sounds good to me.
And the term limits, I think we should bring to the next bylaws committee meeting. And if it doesn't go there, set out a petition and do it as citizens.
And how do the water commissioners, is it just an agreement that they have, meaning that they just say to themselves, okay, well, every year we'll just change?
Yeah.
Not something that,
They have it in a rotation. So like it's now, I just lost his name, Scott Horsley, who came on new last year. So your first year, you don't serve as chair, your second year you do, and your third year you don't. So it just
I
keeps
get it.
rotating.
all right, well, that's interesting. I don't know, yeah, whether it is something that we would talk about necessarily as a policy. It could be a policy thing, but probably bylaws, and then short of that, a petition. Not a bad idea, I don't think.
No, great.
All right, guys.
Well, thanks.
See ya.
See you,
So that's,
Carol.
any other public comment from none of the other people who are not here? So at any rate, then old business. So what do we have? Discuss recommendations made regarding the capital improvement plan. So I sent that very short email that had the two material changes that we discussed at the Prudential Committee at our last meeting that were brought by Rick of the Fire Commissioners and Tom.
Do you want to step through those?
Yeah, just briefly, yeah, it's just a very minor changes, really. So if you saw in those emails that I sent, or that email in the, I suppose it's not really broken up by articles. It's in the third paragraph that begins, the first two types normally result having to do with capital expenditures. At the end of that, it says, while all projects require voter approval, any project funded by, oh no, that was just a typo, I think. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong spot. It was the fourth paragraph. Currently, the two operating departments, fire and water, so on, goes to the end where it said, departments subject to Prudential Committee concurrence was struck and replaced with Prudential Committee review,
Mhm.
as opposed to concurrence, because Tom and the water commissioners thought that had too much of an implication of the Prudential Committee being solely responsible for them, or for their ability to spend or recommend spending. So we talked about it, changed it to review as opposed to concurrence
Mhm.
there.
Okay.
And then the other one was from Rick, having to do with threshold for what constituted a capital expenditure. That's actually earlier on in the document, in the beginning of the second paragraph there, where
Yep.
there are the three items. Capital budget shall comprise expenditures of $10,000 or more was the original. 10,000 or more for the following, and then 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
We struck more, and it had to be $10,000 or as set by the Prudential Committee, so that there wasn't like a hard and fast threshold for spending that would be allocated as a capital improvement if it were something relative to maintenance. I think that was the argument.
Yeah.
You guys talked about it, right?
Mhm.
So that was really it in terms of wording changes. But I think this will be the final draft of it, because it's going to appear on our agenda, and I think we're going to vote on it at our coming meeting, which is the 15th or the 19th.
Let's have a look.
I can't even remember. Or maybe the 12th. It was either the 12th or the 19th.
Oh, I don't, I haven't, I guess I haven't updated my calendar lately.
Me neither. But it was because our drop dead date for warrants is the 26th.
Got it.
So it was, I'm pretty sure it's the 12th. It's in here somewhere. But at any rate, as it stands, unless anybody else has any revisions, I think that settled what the fire and water wanted to have changed.
The next meeting is on the 12th of
The
posted.
12th, that's the one. Thank you. Sorry. And then the following week is when we would do the articles, the actual
Okay.
warrants.
Mhm.
Well, if that looks good to you guys, that looks good to me.
No, I followed along. I was listening at the last meeting. It sounded like it was a robust and productive discussion, and those changes I feel are improve the document.
And otherwise, I don't think there wasn't a ton of discussion otherwise regarding only about the voting on the actual the plans year by year basis as opposed to just implementing them and then having them carry on.
Yeah.
So that was about it. So that'll be that. Hopefully we'll
Yeah.
work on it and forward and stop talking about it for a while, meaning just have it be in place and then move forward with it.
Okay.
So then the next one here, Cindy, you would put to discuss the historical documentation policy. We didn't discuss that at our last meeting, largely because I didn't remember to have it put on the agenda.
Oh, not the historical, the public
The other
comment.
one, the public comment policy. Yes, that is going to appear on the agenda for that meeting on the 12th.
Okay,
I asked specifically for that.
If
To
you-
be on there.
if you could just please make sure that it gets, put to a vote, so we have just resolution if it was accepted or not.
Right, for the public comment policy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, we'll talk about it. I don't see any, I mean, I don't know. We'll find out on the night, but I think that it should be pretty straightforward. And then what about the historical documentation policy that you had talked about, how you would set that up, or did you come up with any idea?
I think that's just for in-house for right now. I put together something that we'll have, so I can give it to you at the end of
Right.
this year. So for the committee going forward, they'll have it next year.
All right, good. And then we'll have, hopefully, if depending, it'll be something we can implement and continue with.
Mhm.
Anybody have commentary on any of those, either of those two things?
No.
No, I did.
Right.
No.
Okay, I just added something to the agenda too. Did you see that,
Right.
Seth?
I do, the new improvements that would move policy advisory recommendations forward. Yes, what would it be?
I don't know. I just,
I didn't know if you had an idea specifically of something that,
oh, I just want to make sure that like when we discuss things at this meeting, that somehow we can make sure they get on the agendas for the next committee meetings.
right,
So we don't have this lag, because I really think they need to be discussed so we understand what the committees feel about what we're doing, so we know how.
yeah, what would be I mean, other than say, for instance, us taking it back, say, me going to and saying to Fran or whomever, say, okay, put this on the agenda. Is there any other mechanism by which we could ensure that it appears other than maybe public comment? If it doesn't, for whatever reason, appear on the,
Okay, I'm gonna make a suggestion. It's not
Yeah.
because I'm clerk, but whoever is clerk, how about after the meetings that we have, after we take a vote to move forward, the clerk sends an email to the person who does the agenda for the committee that it involves and just says the Policy Advisory Committee discussed this tonight and would like to see it placed on your agenda at your next meeting. Would that be something?
Well, one of the things, great point, Cindy. I think if we get better at phasing these meetings in line with, I forget what the bylaw is about the Policy Advisory Committee meeting schedule or cadence, but I think it's mandated by the bylaws at least once a year. But I think it's incumbent upon us as members to do things like forward the minutes. And I don't know if this is a policy. I just think it's a behavior change of being more proactive about circulating these, the recommendations that come out of this meeting to our various commissions.
Right. I think that's exactly it.
I mean, I know I can make that commitment. But it's not really, I mean, it certainly would be an improvement, but it's not something that feels like, an actual policy. It's just sort of more of a commitment that the committee members make to say, hey, okay, once we have these things at the next meeting of the various commissions,
I'm
and
sorry.
maybe it's simply a matter of circulating the minutes.
Right.
Well,
Well, that
I've
doesn't-
been trying to get them out right away.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make it sound like I was laying that at your feet at all. That's not that. Apologies. That's
No.
Maybe it's as simple as CCing the other chairman.
Something. That's a great idea. I think that's a great idea, Seth. Cindy, you check or check that against your radar around. Is that acceptable to do?
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, if you guys think it's acceptable, I don't mind. Because I send them out pretty,
No.
Right.
I mean, is it acceptable to copy the chairs of the various commissions?
if the committee feels okay with that, yes, because they're draft minutes, so they would say draft on them. They would be watermarked with draft, so they would at least know that they're draft until we approve them.
Maybe.
I think from an
yeah. I think it would. Sorry, Seth. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just from an informational standpoint, it wouldn't have,
Yeah,
this doesn't
yeah.
have to be confrontational. It could just be like, well, we're trying to make policies that will pertain to what everybody's up to. So might as well have somebody so that they're just aware of it. I mean, you could just be an FYI. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If that doesn't run afoul of any of the state statutes around meetings, I think it's a good idea.
Right. Oh, there's Tom. But would it be state, is there a statute?
No, I don't know if there is. But
Yeah,
I'm just
for the heck
saying,
of it.
it seems to me like it, to your point, it helps with
Just gets
making
out there.
the communication better.
So why don't you do that then, Cindy? Why don't you just see, and then if people start yelling about it, then we can not do it. If you just
Okay.
see them on the minutes when you're done with them.
I will do that. I had another suggestion. I don't know. This would be up to you, Seth.
Yeah,
In the past, the policy advisory and the bylaws committee met much sooner. I mean, the committee is put together in May. It would really be nice if they had their organizational meeting in September, because that would already be 3 months into the year, so that if they had things they wanted to do, they'd have more time than waiting to this January to do a meeting.
Well, that begs the question: why even the 3-month lag?
right.
Well, I know a lot of people, I mean, it's not I would go to the next day, but a lot of people, a lot of people don't like to have meetings during the summer in July and August, I think. But it's
Well,
up.
for me personally, I don't have any, I just assume have this committee be impaneled.
I think if it's
I don't really
impaneled
remember.
and it constitute, if it's impaneled, and might as well get off the schneid right away. I think.
I agree. I don't have any problem with that, with meeting right away and having it continuously meet. I mean, granted, if we have a meeting every single month, we might run short of things to talk about, but we can always come up with something.
Well, we'll talk about stacking shelves at the coop. That's
Right. There you go. Just
We'll end
all sorts of fun things. But
and making
like
sure we get limoncello cake back in the refrigerator.
I know, whatever happened to the limoncello cake? I'll find out. I'm sorry.
Do we need to make a motion as for policy or anything around that?
Policy advisory limoncello cake. I don't know. I'll think that one over. But hi, Tom. Are you on now?
I am.
Were you-
Sorry, I'm late. I just got out
That's
of work.
okay. Was that you who called me? I
I
was
did.
getting a call. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
I just muted it.
got tied up, and that's what happened. So
Well, that's all right.
sorry
Beth,
about
can
that.
you just review the changes you made? Because I want to make sure they're the ones Tom wanted, because
Right. Let's see.
I
'Cause,
saw the document with the change from concurrence to
right. Did you
prudential
like that?
review, which I think that's great.
Yeah.
That was about.
We welcome that input and we honor it. most all the time, but in case we decide not to, which we did a couple of years ago with some salary increases, then we just go direct to the district. And I just think with the word concurrence in there, that would have limited our abilities to do that. So,
Yeah.
Right.
uh,
And because that was my point when we discussed it at the Prudential Committee meeting, that you're not bound by the Prudential Committee's we recommend or do not recommend. You can ask for whatever you want if you get it on the warrant. So
yeah,
that seems perfectly logical to have that there.
yeah. So
And
thank
then-
you for that.
No, of course. And then the other change, you saw it on there, we discussed it, was the one from Rick Pisano and the fire commissioners about not having it be a hard and fast cap for the $10,000 being the threshold for a capital improvement, which could pertain to the water department as well. When it comes to stuff that you have to buy that won't fall into that, but is more than $10,000.
Yeah, that's fine.
But- That was about all you missed. Carol had a point. You can go back and watch or read the minutes. had
Yeah,
public
I
comment.
don't want to take your time. Your time's valuable. It was my fault for being late, so
Oh, that's all right.
thanks.
We're just fun, you know.
It's all fun. Okay.
Of course.
There's a motion on the floor to reintroduce limoncello cake at the Coop. So that needs some further discussion.
I feel like I have one in the freezer though. I think there is one. I'll go and dig it out tomorrow. We'll let you know. I'll second that. We can vote on it at a later date. But at any rate, so that was the new business aspect was what we were just talking about, right?
Yep.
Improvements. So that was one thing, Tom. Did you hear that bit about CCing our minutes or to the chair, to all the other committee members, or at least the chairs, so that people will be aware of things that we may have requested to appear on an agenda or that may be coming to the committees, you know,
That's a
policy
really-
wise,
Yeah, really good idea.
just in case.
Yeah.
In case people, hopefully no one gets frustrated and says, I don't want to receive these minutes.
Well, and and we do have members on the committee, the policy committee from the different boards, but just the same, it's nice if one of us members misses reporting that
Right,
that
which I
somebody
have
else
done.
might get some eyes on it. I don't think there's any problem with ever sharing information.
All right, so that's good then.
So I think Cindy's going to try that with the next iteration of the minutes.
Mhm.
All right. Sounds good to me. Any other commentary on that point? I'll
No.
move to matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. Anything that anybody had that they wanted to discuss?
I know the moderator for the annual meeting will be looking for people to step up to serve on bylaws and policy advisory. If he doesn't get anybody else that's willing to serve, I would like to keep this committee together for at least another year because I think we started working well together and made some progress. So that would be my recommendation, Seth.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
that sounds fine to me. I mean,
Mhm.
now what's the exact mechanism for the continuation of this committee as it is? That will be selected at the annual meeting, or it's just
You have to contact
panel it from at a
the
Prudential?
moderator beforehand and
Right.
ask if anybody has stepped up to be on the committee.
Right,
And if not, you make the recommendation to keep the committee the same.
us on it, yeah.
And
So,
when-
right, here's what we could do. We could, Seth, next time you are with and maybe you could put this on the agenda. Maybe it needs that kind of,
Right,
advance notice. But, Tom could bring it to the water department. I mean, the water commission, I can bring it to fire commissioner and you could, the prudential committee. And just bring it up and say, hey, we're willing to do it again. So
right.
we could just report to our chairs in that regard. And in the situation where Tom would be the chair, he could report to himself.
There you go. Easy enough.
Yeah, I think we have kind of a revolving chair process going right now, and then the other two sitting elected officials take either the policy committee or the bylaws committee, and that way we kind of divide it up relatively even, which is I think probably what we'll do again.
And I think I volunteered for this committee. At a meeting. I feel like I remember that happening.
Everyone else step back.
That was it. Yeah, just just stayed out in the open, and that's what happened. So I'll make a note of that, and I'll talk about it at our next meeting. And Ken Malloy is still the moderator, right?
Correct.
Haven't seen him in a long time. Let's see. All right, Ken Malloy.
Yeah, I would just say that the water commission will appoint one of our members.
Well, we'll miss you, Tom, but if we could keep it. a
Yeah, I
core
don't know
committee.
how it will go, you know, Scott's been doing an outstanding job. And as did Mark, and I thought I did, the last time I was the chairman, so, we'll see how it shakes out, but I don't wanna commit anybody to anything right now.
Well, fair enough. So that was it. That was the final piece. That was the matter not reasonably anticipated. Does anybody have anything else at all?
No, I don't.
No. Should we set a date then for our next meeting? Do we want to meet in the following month, or do we want to, it'll be with the
I would suggest
meeting and
to
all that?
perhaps we meet in following the ADM, the annual
Right.
district.
Yeah, that
Uh,
sounds, there'll be a lot of meetings coming up and a lot of talk and a lot of different things, I suppose and we'll have
Right.
to.
I mean, I know that I've got meetings, you know, certainly with the fire commission, but also the school thing. And it's not
Right.
that I don't want to do this. It's I'm just thinking in terms of what we've been wrestling with, the policy around the capital plan. I think was a big, sort of a bigger chunk. And I don't know, unless anyone disagrees, it feels to me like next thing you know, that meeting, the ADM is going to be there. And so
Right.
it feels like meeting, you know, the month following that might be just fine.
How
Yeah,
about Monday, June 7th at 6 PM?
that sounds fine to me.
That works for me.
June 7th.
Okay, and hopefully Mike and I will be here, but whoever it is.
I'll be at
I'll be here.
the Prudential Committee. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So okay.
All right, so we'll do that then. So I'll set this meeting and probably with the same group of people, hopefully, and probably.
Well,
Um,
if I don't serve, I'll still attend.
There you go, right?
There you go.
Well, if it's in June, we usually don't change any committees until after elections, which are
The election will be in May.
in May, okay, the last week in May.
What is it this year? The 25th, is it going to be?
Yeah.
Tuesday?
So that's May, then we won't have a water commission meeting till the second or third week in May. And probably change roles at that meeting. Or,
So you'll know who potentially you'll know who might from the water commissioner.
Yep.
So the 7th doesn't seem wrong.
no.
Okay. Who is up for re-election on the water commissioners this year? It's not
Mark,
you, Mark.
Robinson, yeah.
He plans, not that this pertains to this committee at all, just for my own information. He's running again, right?
He is running again.
All right, so then I'll set our next meeting then for June the 7th at 6 PM,
Okay.
barring any disaster,
Okay.
and we can chat again.
Okay.
June
sounds
7th,
good.
6 PM. Okay.
All right, well
Sounds good.
then, with
Thank
all
you.
that being said, of course, and with all that being said, a motion to adjourn will be accepted.
Can I just point of clarification? So was the CIP adopted as revised?
Oh, I guess that
We're
should,
gonna
I mean,
send that on?
yeah, I mean, we didn't formally vote to do it right tonight, meaning that it is that is what's gonna go, and we're gonna talk about that iteration of it, that draft at the Prudential Committee and vote on it at our coming meeting, which is on the 12th. And do we need to vote on it, us as a committee, or
Well, we already voted to send it there, so it's
Yeah.
up to
So
them.
it's already been done?
right. I mean, we voted to send it and the changes, I mean, we could ratify the changes, I suppose, but okay, I'll make a motion to accept the changes to the CIP document as written.
And I'll second them. Comm.
No?
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Dace.
Aye. All right.
Aye.
So it's official. Yeah, and so we're going to discuss it at the Prudential Committee. I asked for it to appear on the agenda at our meeting, which was last Monday, on the 12th, and we're meeting next. And so hopefully it'll be settled then
Okay.
Okay.
with those changes.
Yeah.
And so, all right, and then with that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, all those in
Yeah.
favor?
I.
Right.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and hopefully
Okay.
we'll all be settled and then there'll be limoncello cake and we'll all be happy again.